14,000 feet beneath the freezing waves, silence covers the bottom of the world. In the dark water south of Cape Horn, no sunlight ever reaches the mud. In 1962, a heavy metal camera dropped down from the surface into the cold abyss. It drifted through the Black Sea, ready to capture a world that no human eye had ever seen before. The camera belonged to a famous research ship named the Eltanin. Scientists on board were exploring the deep ocean floor to map the hidden terrain of the far south. They dropped the camera on a thick cable, letting it sink into the crushing pressure. Every few seconds, a bright flash lit up the dark mud, taking black and white pictures of the mysterious seabed. When the scientists pulled the camera back up to the deck, they developed the film in a tiny, dark room. Most pictures showed flat gray mud and empty water, but one single photo made the researchers stop in surprise. Right in the middle of the dark seabed stood a tall, vertical shape that looked completely out of place in the ancient underwater wilderness. The strange object rose straight up out of the silt. It had a long main stem with thin bars sticking out at neat right angles. Small round balls sat on the tips of the crossbars in a perfectly balanced pattern. To everyone who looked at the photo, the shape did not look like a plant or an animal. It looked like a man-made radio antenna. Spreading across the ship, quiet shock quickly turned into endless questions. How could a complex metal transmitter be standing thousands of feet beneath the ocean floor? The location was thousands of miles away from any major city or land. The cold water held the image like a secret, sparking intense debate among the crew as they stared at the unexpected shape on the wet paper. In 1962, deep-sea photography was still very new to science. Researchers had only a handful of pictures from the deepest parts of the planet. Because so little was known about the sea floor, no one could easily explain what the camera had captured. The lack of clear facts allowed wild imaginations to fill in the blank spaces of the cold blue ocean. Soon, copies of the photo left the ship and reached newsrooms across the world. Newspapers printed the image on their front pages, calling it a mystery from the deep. People around the globe looked at the sharp lines of the object and wondered if human history was missing a major piece. The strange picture became an instant media sensation across many countries. Arguments quickly broke out over what the object could be. Fear was already heavy in the air. It was a time when the world felt close to war, and people were terrified of what their enemies were hiding in the shadows. Looking at that black and white picture, a deep sense of dread took hold. Some writers claimed it was a secret military listening post planted in the freezing, crushing water near Cape Horn. They pictured a silent, deadly trap waiting in the dark. They thought a foreign power had dropped the device to track ships moving between oceans. The idea was simple but chilling. A metal machine, sitting miles underwater, would listen for the faint hum of submarines passing far above. It would record every move, stealing secrets from the absolute bottom of the sea. But others looked closer at the sharp, perfect lines of the object and felt a cold chill. They argued that no government had the tools or the power to build and sink such a device in 1962. The ocean floor was a brutal place that crushed steel like paper. If humans did not have the skills to put a machine down there, the terrifying question remained: who or what did? The fear shifted from enemy spies to something much harder to understand. UFO groups took the idea even further. They claimed the shape was clear proof that creatures from another planet had visited Earth. They officially named the object the Eltanin antenna. In their books and meetings, they argued that aliens had placed the pole on the ocean floor to send secret radio signals across the stars, far away from human eyes. For more than 10 years, the photo remained a famous unresolved mystery. It appeared in books about strange phenomena and unsolved riddles of the Earth. Skeptics tried to explain it away, but without new evidence, the alien theory continued to grow stronger. The cold gray picture seemed to prove that something artificial was hiding in the deepest trenches of the world. However, a few ocean experts refused to accept the alien story. They began re-examining the original photo with greater care, looking past the dark shadows. They noticed that the stem was not made of smooth metal. The edges were soft and slightly uneven. Under close study, the geometric bars looked more like living branches than solid steel rods. By examining the intersection of biology and ocean geology, researchers started searching through old marine collections stored in dusty museum basements. They wanted to see if any known sea creature matched the strange shape. They believed that nature, over millions of years, could build shapes far stranger than any machine created in a modern factory. In 1971, a marine biologist made a groundbreaking connection that solved the long mystery. He found a description of a rare deep-sea organism recorded decades earlier. The object on the seafloor was not a metal post or a foreign transmitter. It was a living, breathing animal that spent its entire life anchored in the freezing Antarctic mud. Scientists identified the creature as Chondrocladia concrescens, a special type of carnivorous sea sponge. This rare sponge lives thousands of feet beneath the surface where food is extremely scarce. To survive in the total darkness, the sponge grows a long central stalk with branches that extend outward at right angles, creating a large hunting structure in the slow currents. Instead of sending radio signals, the branches of Chondrocladia act like a natural trap. Tiny hooks on the sponge catch small swimming creatures that drift by in the dark. The round nodes on the ends of the stems are specialized feeding organs. What looked like a high-tech radio antenna was actually a silent hunter waiting for its next tiny meal. The strange story of the Eltanin photo showed how easily the human mind can be tricked by pareidolia. Pareidolia is the natural habit of seeing familiar objects, like faces or tools, in random patterns and shapes. When people looked at a fuzzy black and white photo from the deep sea, their minds instantly turned an unknown animal into a familiar machine. The lighting of the original photo also helped create the famous illusion. When the flash on the deep-sea camera went off, it hit the sponge from a harsh side angle. This produced long, sharp shadows on the silt floor. The bright glare made the soft, wet sponge look like hard, polished metal, standing rigid in the dark water. The story of the strange image shows how mystery can spread when people jump to conclusions before gathering all the facts. A simple sea creature was transformed into a secret weapon and an alien beacon just because it looked unusual. The real truth required patient scientific work and a deep understanding of the hidden forms of life on Earth. Today, the photograph remains one of the most famous examples of a deep-sea anomaly in history. It reminds us that our oceans are filled with amazing living creatures that seem alien to our eyes. We do not need to look to distant stars for wonder, because the deepest corners of our own planet hold secrets far more surprising than fiction.